I mean, we heard from the HHS secretary say today that the vaccine will be free for Americans, or affordable. So that means the government will help purchase it from companies that are making a profit off of that we helped fund the research for. Do you see any problem with that?
Well, some of the vaccines are being done by companies on a non-profit basis. A few have decided, otherwise. And so if you have equivalent vaccines, the one that's the cheapest will be the one that we go with. And we may have, many choices here that some of which look like, the production costs will be quite low. So I do honestly think both in therapeutics and in vaccines we'll end up that it'll be a very clear deal, what should be purchased, and that'll be worked out. Whether people second guess the early buyer contracts, that's not really the key issue. We will get a good deal on the vaccine, and we need the world to get a good deal on it. And there are many of the companies that have committed themselves to that.
Mm-hmm. The Gates Foundation is one of the largest funders of vaccine research in the world. Vaccines save millions and millions of people around the world every year. Are you concerned about a growing anti-vaccination disinformation campaign that exists on social media?
Yeah, it's always a concern because vaccines are so key to keeping measles deaths down. Vaccines helped us eradicate polio. Vaccines are so important. They've played the primary role in cutting childhood death in half over the last 20 years. That our foundation, the U.S. government have been very involved in that. So explaining how careful we are about vaccine safety is super important. During a pandemic, I can understand people's anxieties levels going up, but explaining what the testing is doing, we will need a lot of people to be willing to take the vaccine to stop the transmission.
You have been the subject of a disinformation campaign. In fact, the posts on social media about you and coronavirus are considered the most widespread coronavirus falsehoods that exist. So I want to address some of them. To be clear, do you want a vaccine so that you can implant microchips into people?
No, there's no connection between any of these vaccines and any tracking type thing at all. I don't know where that came from.
And yet there was a poll by YouGov and Yahoo that shows 44% of Republicans, 19% of Democrats, and 24% of independents think that you want to do that. How did this conspiracy start?
I don't know. Dr. Fauci and I are sort of the two most mentioned, and some of these are deeply ironic, like, our foundation is about reducing death and, bringing equity to health, and yet the idea that, we get accused of creating, chips or the virus, I think we just need to get the truth out there. We need to explain our values so that people understand why we're involved in this work and why we're willing to put hundreds or billions to accelerate the progress. It's a little unclear to me, but I hope it'll die down as people get the facts.
I know, but I want to ask you this because you're a co-founder of Microsoft. You travel in the circles of many of these tech leaders who control these companies. I know you know them. There was a Facebook post with that widely debunked conspiracy theory that says that you want to do that. It was shared tens of thousands of times. It's still on Facebook. And I reached out to Sheryl Sandberg today about it. Facebook has told me that they will send it to review about whether to take it down. Does Facebook have a responsibility to do more in terms of shutting down this misinformation?
Yeah, well, they are willing to get rid of anti-vaccination messages that are, false there. And, so there's a constant dialogue about, okay, how do they make sure that these completely false things don't get out there? You don't want to suppress normal dialogue about safety studies, but the conspiracy theories, they, are starting to step up on, and we feel like we have a good dialogue with them about how to do that.